Parenting is like being the player on the ground. You don't know from where the ball is going to hit you, and you need to be prepared with the bat, right? Our idea is to empower you with your batting skills, such that no matter what comes from the environment, you can handle it, and you can make your child, or you can help your child develop irrespective of what's happening in the environment. So let's go into batting. So the acronym we need to remember as parents, which is very simple, is BAT. No matter what comes your way, just BAT. Okay, so BATS, BATS. So what does B stand for? B is the whole root cause of all of this when we are seeing is boredom. Okay, most people would say that my child is getting bored, and that's why I'm giving them a tab or a phone, because they love seeing videos, they love seeing rhymes, they're learning faster, or they love to see some interesting movies or science videos, any of it. So the first thing that is at the source of it is boredom. Now let's understand boredom in two ways. One is what's its connection to screen time. Second, what is actually boredom? Okay, most of the times right now we're seeing children also come up with one dialogue saying, I'm bored, and they want something to happen immediately after they communicate boredom. And we as parents rush in to save our children from boredom. Yes? Yeah. So when we rush in to save our children from boredom, the first thing we generally tend to do, which is the easiest, is to get them to screen time, which is either we hand them to a TV, or we hand them over to a computer or a gadget in their hand and say, why don't you try this? Okay, which is, I'm not saying right and wrong, but that's the way it is today right now. Most parents are. Now with boredom, it's also that as parents we have somewhere picked up the mindset that it is our responsibility to keep our children away from boredom. It's like we think that boredom is bad, and we look at boredom as, oh, my child is not taken care properly, or we go into our either confusion mode or a guilt mode, and we just want to get off it immediately. Let me clarify this part of it, where we're saying that according to science, boredom is a precursor, or it is required, it's a first phase of creativity. So if you're looking at your child being creative, which is very important for today's era, where it's not about IQ anymore or EQ anymore, it's about being different, it's about being yourself and being unique, then creativity is the key. And if you want your children to be creative, then boredom is a precedent, which is when a child gets bored, that's when they can think different. That's when they will find out of the box solutions. So as a parent, we need not panic with the word boredom, and we need not rush to take an action around boredom, but we need to respond to it rather than react to it. So are you ready to respond now? Let's look at what we can do. So when a child comes and says, I'm bored, the first thing is to rush and take an action, but we're going to switch it now. You could turn around and throw the ball back at them and ask, say, you're feeling bored? Acknowledge the feeling and ask them, what do you think we can do? Can we try something different? What would keep you off it? Encourage them as much to come up with answers beyond screen, beyond digital gadgets, beyond TV. Yes, it is also good to give them sometimes, but not always. So the moment you ask them, you're making them think beyond what they're right now thinking is the best solution. That itself is, a first step that you've taken. Second point, this is about boredom. And second point is BATS, which is A, which is finding alternatives. A stands for alternatives. What is the child inclined towards, which is far more interesting than even screen time? So even if a child is, a screen addict, or somebody who's on a heavy digital diet, then finding alternatives can be a very good idea. So some children will be, more inclined to music. Some children will be more inclined to movement. They would want to jump, and they would want to, scream, or they would want to play, or they would want to maybe do some clay modeling. Or most of them also love to play around with vessels in the kitchen. So you could direct the focus back into the kitchen, into the bedrooms. I mean, as simple as asking the children to say, would you want to see if, a bed sheet or a bedspread can be made into a toy? Or would you want to see how to play, a pillow fight? Anything. I mean, you just need to figure out different alternatives. Another way to look at alternatives could also be hobbies. Or classes, which kind of classes or hobbies or new skills that the children can learn. It could be the child may be fascinated with skating. So see if there can be something done around skating. So if a child is into a class, he may also try to use some more time understanding it. Or maybe if they're good at drawing, most of the time, most children are very much inclined to working with nature, which is especially doing gardening, sowing their seed. It could be a very simple activity of saying that, would you want to try, sowing this seed? And it will work differently. And next week you could try some other seed. So the different sizes. The child generally is fascinated with how each size, seed will make a difference in the seed. So kindling their curiosity, which is leading them towards creativity rather than taking them towards boredom. So as a parent, our first reaction to next time whenever you hear the boredom is not to take immediate step and get them onto technology because you're busy, but to actually work it out with them and move them towards creativity with alternate activities. And what's the next word? Bats. It's T. So T stands for time. Now, screen addiction or screen time, if you see as a pattern, will be a certain time of the day when they are hooked to technology or they're hooked to the screen or, they're busy with the gadgets. If you could, as a parent, understand what is this time that your child is really stuck to the gadgets and doesn't want to look around the environment, doesn't want to interact, and if you have spotted them to be a screen addict also, there is a certain time in which they do it. They're not onto technology or they're not into that kind of a challenge when they are on the move or when they're in the school. Some of the parents have reported that while I'm traveling, I'm driving and I don't know what to do with the child, so I hand over my phone. Valid thing, but is there some other way to do it? Could you sing along in the car, some music on the radio, or if it's coming back home, looking at saying, okay, is it that immediately after coming home the child wants to pick up the tab or wants to pick up the gadget or open the TV? Then can you shift the pattern? Can you break the pattern? Instead of just going home straight and asking them to change, could you stop by somewhere, take a small stroll and then go home talking about something else where they're already busy? Or could you take them to a nearby park and then go back? Or when you go back home, can you switch the topic and look at saying, would you want to do some part of lunch with me, or getting them into some other activity which breaks their pattern? Or let's say a child has a habit of before going to sleep watching a rhyme and sleeping, which is actually quite dangerous because only those images will be flashing when they're sleeping. So it could be about saying, instead of getting onto the screen, it could be about saying, do you want to draw a story out to me, or do you want to enact a story out to me, or maybe you do it for them. So just change the patterns and observe what times they're hooked to the screen and see if we could break the pattern, change the pattern. The next one is a very important one, which is S. S stands for support and surrounding. You as a parent are going to be the most important factor in their life, and how you do things and what you do is going to really go a long way in building their future. So as a parent, when you see them on screen, it's not to jump on them, pounce on them and say, don't do it, or stay away from this, I'm not going to give you this tab, or go into the reprimand mode. It is about offering support from their world. Let's take it that it's not children. We are equally like children, where all of us are hooked to our phones. I haven't seen adults who don't have phones in their hand. We are constantly having phones, constantly looking into our screens, and children are only mirroring it. So the support that they need from us is to create it in the environment through communication. Try to work more around bonding. Bonding in such a way that the child is naturally more interested in your voice and feels there is much more new stuff possible there than their screen, which is going to offer them different stimulation. When your bonding is heavier, they are more inclined to you. Try to talk about what exactly happened with you in the day, something interesting happened, and see if they would like to share it back, and try to create more of family times and circle times, where, or maybe it could be a learning time where you're talking about what you learned today. Another very interesting thing that you can look at doing is actually taking a e-fasting. E-fasting as a family, not just for the child, but as a family, where you say that, okay, today 2 hours, all of us go on e-fast, all of us put our gadgets away, and it's going to be only family time, maybe play something or go out somewhere. A very good way to get children off the, screen hook is to actually go into nature. as a family, go into nature and say no to any of the screens around you. And maybe mountains, could be nature parks, could be anywhere where you're really spending time with children. And spending time is not just walking along, but really talking to them, kindling their curiosity, asking them, what do you see, how do you think it's like that? For example, if you see a giraffe, asking them, say, what makes this neck so long? Talk like them with them. So that's going to be a very fundamental factor. Apart from all of this, there's some very interesting things that you can try. As parents, we know screen time is going to be there, but right now we are getting used by it. We are getting concerned by it. Is there a way to turn it back and use it for your favor? So one of the things that I thought was you could actually play around with it. For example, there is a desirable behavior in children, which is if you want children to maybe improve on their handwriting, or if you want them to eat vegetables, or if you want them to do homework, list down all the desirable habits and desirable things that you want in children, and say these are the things that if you do in a day, you will earn some stars, and they love earning stars, and have stickers of stars and say these are things that if you have, you would earn stars. So if you do this, 3 stars. If you do this, 4 stars, and keep the stickers there. Every time that a child does something desirable, you put the stickers up and say, okay, these 3 stickers are yours because you did this. And their screen time has to be earned with these stickers. It's just like how you go shopping, right? You pick up dresses and things for 4,000-5,000, and then you get your gift vouchers, and the next time you use it for purchase. Just the same thing. So encourage children to really buy their screen time, earn their screen time. Then they realize the value, and not just they will love to do it, they will find enough screen times, and they will ensure that they're going to buy it out, but in the process they're also going to build themselves. So this is going to be an interesting activity, and it's up to parents to really make it creative, exciting for children. Don't make it a boring routine for them. Make it more exciting, use more colors, you get creative. Maybe you create your own earning system as well, that if you spend time with children, then you earn your screen time, something like that. So it's completely a creative process, and hope this really helps you in overcoming the entire challenge around screens and gadgets, and you have a great parenting time.